Pow! What's up, everybody? Yo, welcome to the In Your Face show. Welcome to the 47th episode of the In Your Face show, y'all. And I'm here with my main man, Rob Matari. Matari. Did I say it right?
Multari.
Multari. Yeah. Sorry about that.
All good. Multari is usually the common. Everybody says it that way.
so introduce yourself, my brother.
Right. So I'm Rob Multari. I'm the creator and writer of Nightwolf and Snowpaw. Also the founder of Lone Wolf Comics, which is my self-publishing imprint. I'm from Sharpsville, Pennsylvania, and I'm here to tell you about a bunch of kick-ass werewolf stories.
And that's what we like. You damn right. All right. See, so brother from my mother. No. Yo, I'm in a goofy mood. Don't mind me. So bro, like tell us about Snowpaw.
So Snowpaw is a story about a 19th century female Scottish werewolf. She finds out that she's born a werewolf and is basically her eyes are open to a supernatural fantasy world that has been hidden from her until then. She finds out that she's born a werewolf, and during the first issue, we kind of find out how she goes from being a farm girl in the Scottish Highlands to being betrothed to a Scottish nobleman, and then finding out that she's a werewolf in her entire life, kind of getting ripped apart and having to kind of pick up the pieces and find her way through this, this fantasy supernatural landscape.
Awesome. So, out of the whole story, right? Who is the most vicious werewolf out of the whole story?
So
it's gotta be something.
Yeah, so the most vicious out of the story is Grimfang. He's a English noble werewolf, and he's also the lord of a dark covenant, which is basically a covenant of witches, demons, vampires, werewolves, other creatures of the night. Basically, he rules the entire Great Britain region as far as these evil creatures, and he's kind of like if you think about Scar from The Lion King, but with like Mufasa's like strength and you put those two together, you get the brains and the brawn together.
I feel what you're saying. So, what is your take on werewolves? Because I noticed that you like, what is your take on wolves and werewolves? Because I noticed that, you like wolves.
Right. So with my werewolves, like I said, they're born werewolves. They're not like created. They don't really, they're not cursed or anything. There's most of them, they come from like different packs, different cultures, much like humans are, around the world. And they can think for themselves. They're not just feral beasts that when they transform that they just tear into everything. So they actually can think for themselves. They can fight with weapons. They wear armor. They are allergic to silver, but it's not complete detriment. Like, it leaves scars, but they can still heal from it. They have longevity, but they're not immortal. And they, have their own, like they have a bit of like kind of most packs they're basically, they worship pagan gods. But there's this offset breed, if you will, that they worship either God or the devil, and then so they kind of like have been pushed out of like the werewolf society. This is why with Snowpaw, she is one of those outcast werewolves that she doesn't know that she's a werewolf because her bloodline's been kind of shut off, if you will. But occasionally, it's kind of like a recessive gene; it will show up. And then that's kind of like where this hidden gene comes into play, and pops in and messes up somebody's entire young adulthood.
I feel you. See, hey, I've heard some crazy werewolf stories out there, man. I heard my fair share. I've heard a lot of them, like going crazy over them. You know what I'm saying? Like nutty, but I've heard a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? I actually myself, I would love to know more about wolves. You know what I'm saying, and werewolves, and you know what I'm saying, just to have some knowledge on it because you can never know too much about anything. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
is power. You know what I'm saying? So you can be able to help somebody, learn something by just knowing something that they want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, So so let me ask you something. Like, out of all the clans and all the packs, who is the lovebirds out of the pack? You know what I'm saying? Out of the Yeah, because gotta be I know it's gotta be some lovebirds up in that mug. It's gotta be something.
So in to kind of before getting a little bit too into like a lot of the detail, because I don't want to do a lot of spoilers, but in Snowpaw there is a bit of a love connection that starts, but it's not really there until much later on in the series, between her and Silvermane, who is the werewolf who takes her under his paw, if you will. And then leading to my other series, Nightwolf, it takes place 200 years into the modern times, where Snowpaw is a much older, much wiser werewolf who then trains Nightwolf. So there's a bit of a love triangle between him, her, and his girlfriend in a way that kind of plays out, but doesn't like it doesn't get like too like in your face mushy, Twilighty.
Right, 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 right. Twilight to me it was kind of yeah, never really I never got it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
my wife, she read the books and she watched the movies. I've never actually watched any of them. Just from like seeing like what like the glittery vampires and the like just the for me like my werewolves, I like a certain aesthetic. Like yeah, the big wolves, that's great. It's fun. But my wolves can go from human to a full werewolf with like the wolf head shape, but then they shrink down to like the wolf form as well. So they mine can go to different transformation levels. Whereas like if I recall from what I've seen, I think that in Twilight they only did like what, a big wolf.
hmm I'm like, damn, the oversized wolf. You killing me here. What I mean? I'm like, shit. You can't run. Run standing up.
Yeah, right.
Um, you got to be a regular wolf. That's a little boring. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then you're fighting vampires. Come on,
With
man.
your
Like,
mouth.
yeah, like the vampires don't seem like they strong enough, and I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like you just. But Twilight was a good movie. You know what I'm saying? But I just never understood the backstory of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. Anyway, so do you have like I noticed that you have that you are in touch with that you blah, do you like wolves? Do you have any animals
I
like
do.
dogs?
Yeah, I got three dogs. I have a cat. We used to have two cats. But long story there. But anyway, we have so our one cat now we have that we still have. He's a diabetic, which
I
is
feel you.
yeah, he it's like he's more like a dog than he is a cat, because like he'll if you drop food on the floor, he's right there fighting with the dogs to get it. It's hilarious.
We're like, but no, you're a diabetic. You can't have it.
I
You
know,
know what
right?
I
Yeah,
mean?
that's right. I wonder why is that bad. He didn't stop eating.
It was like, oh shit, man, I done ate that damn food.
One time I caught
But
him trying to eat my steak off my table. I was like going to get like rice off the stove or something. I turn around, he's like right there about to nab it. I'm like, you,
you better not.
right? I was like, oh,
Yeah, man. I ain't got no dogs. I'm kind of a scared of the big ones. Don't hurt. Don't yeah, man. I'm being honest. I ain't lying. Shit. But nah. So when it comes to Nightpaw, not Nightpaw, Snowpaw. What made you come up with the word Snowpaw? The title. I mean.
so so Snowpaw actually is a spin-off series of Nightwolf. She was introduced in Nightwolf as his mentor. And the way I introduced her name into the series is that Silvermane, who we had talked about a little bit, gives her that name because her pelt, her as a werewolf, is as white as the snow from his Nordic home because he's a Viking werewolf, and so that's kind of like each werewolf has like a tribal name, if you will, and so that was kind of like how she got her tribal name was from Silvermane, and Nightwolf in turn gets his from Snowpaw, because he is like the his pelt isn't fully black, it's not fully white, it's like that gray wolf looking like husky coloring. So it
Mm-hmm.
looks like he has the shadow of night over his shoulders, so there she called him Nightwolf.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
kind of like how like the naming conventions, you kind of go with like a trait and then like something relative to like whatever the pack or something like that is, and it's kind of like an honor tradition that is handed down from one to the other.
Okay. 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 So you being a awesome gentleman of yourself, like, where did the inspiration come from doing these type of genres?
So originally, I started out writing like superhero fan fiction for X-Men. Wolverine was always like my favorite like character growing up, and I always kind of like I like that not give a shit feral nature that he would always like made me feel like not I never really acted that way unless I was like angry or being picked on in school, so like he was kind of like my backbone, if you will, being the fat kid being made fun of in school, like fighting back. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, for me, like it was always like I always had this kind of like an inner, it was like a volcano would go off, and whenever like it took a lot for me to get angry. Um, but I also thought like I could relate to like that little fuse or whatever that he had, and wolves have always been like my favorite character. Well, the favorite animal. Um, and then like I like any kind of werewolf movie TV. I remember even like watching cartoons as a kid, like there was Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf and the Ghoul School and a bunch of you know the old school cartoons that had them, and then the movies, the horror movies with the werewolves. And um so as I was getting older, and I included a werewolf character in my stories, and I had sent those off to Marvel, to kind of to see if they would pick up my fan fiction and make a story out of it. And I got this nice rejection letter from Marvel saying, "Oh, we have our storylines so far in advance, and but we thank you for sending them out, but we encourage you to keep up the work." So what I did after that point, I was like, all right, well, if Marvel's not going to use them, I'm going to take my characters, rework them into more of an original form, and Nightwolf was one of those characters that spawned from that, because there wasn't a lot of good werewolf like comics out there. They kind of had some like in the 70s, like um, that they like had a little bit, and I think there was maybe one in like the late 90s, but there really wasn't a lot of them, and not the way that like for me being a fantasy fan, and um, as well, I wanted to see like where like the werewolf wasn't just somebody who was clawing at people mindlessly, angry or whatever. I wanted to see like an anti-hero hero situation where they think for themselves, they can fight and actually be like an interesting character that you want to follow along. Because think about it. I mean, if you put somebody who can turn into a werewolf into a situation like normal day stuff and shit hits the fan, how do you got to react to that, right? You got to figure out what to do from there.
Right. 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 Right.
More interesting than just being like, oh, he's a werewolf and he's eating people. You kill it. That's the end of the movie, right?
I feel you, man. Like, it's see, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, when it comes to like a werewolf type of vampire type of comics, you don't really get those out there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not. You get a lot of people doing characters on like Blade characters, like vampire type of anti-hero type of, but I never really seen like any wolf type of
Mhm.
characters out there. that can combat with that. You know what I mean? Like I've seen like there ain't nothing out there. You know what I'm saying? There ain't really nothing out there in this millennium. You know what I'm saying? In this time, like
Yeah, I think everybody
so.
gave like the vampires their big go whenever like True Blood was out. What was that other one? The TV series or Vampire Diaries. You know, like again, they've been you know they gave the vampires their run, right? So like you know,
Hmm.
it's time for the werewolf. You know, even in Underworld, I feel like it originally was supposed to be like this werewolf vampire hybrid, right? He was supposed to be like the next level and then like become this like great thing throughout the rest of the series. But it ended up that like it ended up being Celine's story, you know, which don't get me wrong, I love, you know, Kate Beckinsale and I love her character. But then it just felt like this the way the first episode or the first movie ended, it felt like it was going to be a lot more Michael Corvinus focused, and it didn't. It totally went the opposite direction, and it became
And
more of a vampire story again.
yeah, see, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? That's when you have people who don't know how to add in core characters and keep them as core characters. You know what I'm saying? Then build them up later on in the story. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of that in the comic industry, man. Like where a lot of people would do their stories, right? They don't introduce the people to the story, to the character, and they'll just bring out the action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, because action is only going to take you but so far in your story.
No, that's just
You know
it.
what I'm
Like
saying?
you fill up your pages with action, and you don't have any story behind it. It just is. What's the point? You know, there's got to be a
Yeah,
reason. Where so tell me the reason.
yeah. It's got to be a reason why you punching that man in the mouth. What's the reason you gonna smack a kid in the head? What's the reason? You know what I'm saying? What's the reason you're gonna curse a person out? We need to know. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I want to know the in between. I want to know the before. I want to know the after. I want to know everything.
Yeah, I want to know the ending, the cliffhanger, the sleep, everything. You know what I'm saying? I want to know the dream. Shit.
Give give me the
But
dirt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, so like when it comes to the story, like is this a ongoing story or is this just like a one pit stop story? Like one pitch one, you know.
Right on. So with Nightwolf, I have 12 issues scripted for like a first season or a first movie, if you will. I have plans to make it an ongoing, potentially being like like depending on whether which direction I could probably go one way or another with movies or TV. But I do plan on making it a long ongoing. The same with like Snowpaw originally became was planned to be like a 4-part mini series spinoff, but has been so popular among my wolf pack, as I like to call my audience. They love it so much that like it's definitely going to become another full series as I go. I mean, I have 200 years between the events of Snowpaw and Nightwolf to be able to work with for her story. So why not, right?
Right, right, right. So so tell us about Nightwolf. What's the backstory about that?
Right on. So, Nightwolf is a story about an 18-year-old who has everything with a silver spoon in his mouth. Basically, comes from a good family, has a football scholarship to the college of his dreams, has a girlfriend, popular. And one day he basically starts having these nightmares and these foreshadowings of things that are coming. And then his town is hit by a horde of supernatural creatures like vampires, demons, witches, werewolves, and during that his high school homecoming dance, um, they're attacked by these supernatural creatures, and his werewolf lineage is revealed there as well, like showing that he is also one of these werewolves, that but he's not quite a purebred, which is the good god worshippers, and he's not a mongrel, which is one of the evil Lucifer worshippers. He's actually kind of like that modern day in between. There's, it's not everything's black and white anymore. There's a gray line, so that's why his pelt is gradient from black to white. So he's kind of like a new version of this pack, if you will. And then, from there, his girlfriend is captured by the master vampire, and he is taken under the wing by Snowpaw, who is training him to take it to the Dark Covenant.
Oh, damn. Shit. Man, is there any humans up in this motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, that's just it. Most of the humans that were introduced in the first 2 issues got mostly taken out. Then the story transitions so his girlfriend is a human, and the master vampire believes that she is this vampire's reincarnated fiance from the Boston Massacre. She died back then, and then so that he thinks that's her, and now this there's that weird love quadrangle going on. So he's Nightwolf and Snowpaw are basically planning, training, and then taking the fight to the Dark Covenant.
I like the story coming out already. I like it. See, when it comes to stories like that, you just ringing bells here, man. Because I like gritty, gory stories. You know what I'm saying? That's a dark character. Those are dark characters that I'm liking this. I like action, but then I like some story because you get a lot of depth within that character. You know what I'm saying? Because if people can know the depth of the character, then they'll get behind that character. You know what I'm saying? And if people would take time with those characters and really, really, really minor details and put those in their characters, man, come on. Taking time with your character, actually building it up, actually, spending time developing it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to care about the characters you're writing and have people care about them too, or else what's the point of reading them? Because then
exactly.
If they don't care about the character, then you're not going to be able to continue writing the story. If no one cares, it's just going to drop.
Right. It's just like music. Like you want to rehearse that music. You want to rehearse you want to rehearse and build on to your repertoire, because if you don't build onto it, it'll stay stagnant and you'll be sounding one sound, like just one sound, like you're not growing, and you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by really building your stories and characters, because a lot of these stories and characters seem so bland when you get rid of the action. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But see, you don't get people paying attention to the comic, to the whole comic. They just look at the book and fly through it. Just, I read it. Well, tell me something about it. What you read? Who's your favorite character? You know what I'm saying?
Like the conversations around the fire that they're having. What they say. Do you want to know? You're missing key right there.
Yeah, and then see, and when a person really, really, really pays attention to your story, and they really read it, they will pick out what really stuck out to them in that story. Instead of and a lot of people would try to critique it and give you the critiques, and you ain't even ask for the goddamn critique. You just ask what you think.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? What you think? Oh, I don't like this. I didn't ask you for a critique. I asked you for what you think. You know what I'm saying? What you think
about the story.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, damn, sheesh. But you know how that is. So, what do you see, and what's your thoughts on a lot of stories that you've read that need improvement that are out there today?
You know, I stopped reading like Marvel and DC because they kept beating the same dead horses. You know, like I've been picking up a lot more of indie comics over like since I have even like once I found out that there was like a whole community of us out there. I've been picking up a lot of those, and I think a lot of the stories are great out there. Or you know, and then there's a lot of great art out there. Sometimes you have like a really great story that's diminished by the lack of good art, and I think that's not because of like you know being a writer myself. I know the cost of how much it is to you know put a book together and hire an artist. Um, so I know like you know if you want to tell a great story, you got to put it out there like it's Marvel quality or DC quality, at least from the look and the you know, and then if you put your story in with the great look and art, you got a killer combination that can't be beat. You know what I mean? Like, and I think
Hmm.
you as a fan, what are you looking like when you put a book out? What are you looking for? You know, what do
Hmm.
you know? Think about it that way. But like, are you going to buy somebody whose art is great but the story is terrible? Do you want to buy that regularly, or do you want somebody with great story but the art's meh? You know, like what are you or the lettering? You know what? That's I think a lot of it's like having you know for me like I try and make that stuff look as professional and polished as possible. You know, because I want to put it out for the fan and myself as well. You know what I mean? I want to it like as a fan, I want to say, oh damn, this is like you know I love my you know this book's amazing. You know, even though it's my stuff. You know,
Hmm.
you know. Uh,
And bro, see, that's the thing too. Art can get better.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can pick up a book and have some of the most crappiest art and have a great story and then still win.
Yeah.
But you cannot. I have yet to see a story with great art and stanky ass writing. And I've have yet. Yeah, that's me. I don't know about y'all who's watching, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying a great story goes a long way
Mm-hmm.
because if you're going to put, because that's the basically you're telling the character's story, their backstory behind them. You're not just. It's like saying, okay, oh, a girl got a girl. What you meet a female, right? And you see her fat ass, you see her body, you see her sexy. You know what I'm saying? But what is the story behind her?
Mm-hmm.
What does her personality look? Because if you read the story of her and what she's putting out, you read and you get to know her personality. That's reading her backstory. That's reading who she is. That's who
Right.
she is. That's you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a girl that don't have no personality, though, do
Right.
you? She
No.
can have a big booty and you know, you know what I'm saying. She can have all that, but if she ain't got no brains, no personality, no nothing, what you want with her?
Mm. Yeah, if you
You
can't
know,
hold a
just
conversation afterward, the aftermath, if you will, it
yeah, like
ain't gonna
that's
be
what
there.
I'm saying. That's like for guys. What would you want with a man if you don't have some substance to him? Meaning a story behind him, not just okay, he's a bad guy, good guy. What story? What is the story behind this guy
What
that you
drives
like about him? You know, the
you?
drive. Well, what? Okay, exactly. See. I mean, you know, see, everybody goes for the look of a comic, but are you gonna? But does the story build up, and does the story make up for that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can still get the best comic book out. You can still get sorry. You can still get the best art out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still get the best art. And I guarantee you, nobody will pick that shit up if their story is trash.
If, yeah, if it
That's
don't make
like
sense, if it don't make sense, it don't work.
yeah, yeah. Like for example, okay, having Superman, right?
Hmm.
That's like having Superman. That's like having Superman be rich. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. That's Batman shit.
Yeah, but
Batman's
yeah. What would be what would make sense is him driving the Batmobile around instead of flying like he can.
exactly. I'm gonna just ride a Batmobile. I could fly too.
He's like, I don't feel like it today. Mm.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm like. That don't make sense. Superman flies around. He don't have to drive. Let me drive to this nigga so I kick his ass. No, you're not going to do that. You are Superman. Go fly to that nigga and kick his ass. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Hmm.
I'm saying. Fly to his
There
ass.
ain't no way, son. Get your butt up there.
Yeah, fly to this ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on now. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But when it comes to art, right? What
Mhm.
is the art style that really attracted you to doing your art?
So for me, like I've always been a fan of like Jim Lee, Joe Madureira, um, growing up, and that art really was good for cutting edge for its day. And I always wanted to make something similar along those lines. And Joe Mad used to draw like wolves and dogs, and like he did an amazing job on like his Battle Chasers book. I just wish he would have finished it.
Yeah,
because that
yeah,
because that left me hanging, and I was pissed.
yeah. I love Joe Madure's art. You know what I'm saying? It's especially Darksiders.
Hmm.
Darksiders is so awesome, so cool.
Oh
I love the art, but the video game was boring. It's corny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I want to say though, the Darksiders art style, man, shit was cool. This
that's
shit
just
was real cool.
yeah. And I think like that game became popular because of the artwork that he put into that. But he stopped doing Battle Chasers to go down that route, right? Whereas like Battle Chasers, his story for Battle Chasers was actually interesting. It was intriguing. You were learning about these characters, and you were like, the watching the hero who fell come back from like being like like that whole like you know a comeback story. It's like he ended it right there, but not he didn't actually end it. He stopped right at the point where you're like, okay, yes, shit's gonna actually hit the fan. We're actually gonna get it story. Like the story's gonna start coming together. And at that point, it was like, oh,
At that point, it was like, man, shit, we ain't getting shit. We got some bullshit, and he stopped writing and drawing and all that shit. Yeah, I get what you're saying, man.
yeah. He
I
followed
mean,
he followed the wrong yellow brick road, if you will.
I feel you. I feel you. And I think Joe Mad. He was. I think if he came back out with more stuff,
Oh yeah.
I think it still kick ass.
Oh, I mean, he came back for a couple like things. Like he did some small mini series for Marvel. He did that Spider-Man Wolverine mini series like in the early to late 2000s. Or 10, like 20, like 28, 2008, I think it was. But it was amazing. Like I just wish that like he would sit back and just get back into doing the Battle Chasers thing, and I would be right there as soon as he if he would have continued that story, I'd be on top of that. Like I'd spend money. I'm like, listen, I don't care how
Just
much.
take my goddamn shit. Take it, take it. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get like that when it comes to Call of Duty and shit like that, video game. I get like that, you know what I'm saying? Um Video games is my life, man. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, when it comes to Joe Maduro. So if you could pick from okay, who on your Mount Rushmore, right? Out of all the artists and out of all your characters that you've built, who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's your favorite?
Well, it's kind of like it's an odd combination. So there's on one hand you said there's the artist and then the characters that I came up with.
Hold on. No, I'm gonna ask you that. I'm gonna ask you the second one, the artist second, but I'm asking you a character first.
Okay. So my character Mount Rushmore are the ones that I created.
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely Nightwolf, Snowpaw. I gotta also go with Silvermane, and so I also have 3 other titles that I don't have out yet. But I'd say Crimson Dawn would be my other character that I'd put up there, even though he isn't known yet. Just because like his story, I can't wait to put that one out there. It's very, it's going to be amazing once it gets there.
Okay. So, all right. When it comes to what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
Out of all the artists and all the you've watched over the years, who's your Mount Rushmore out of all the artists that you saw?
Out of all of the artists that I've saw, let's see. So I definitely put Jim Lee up there. Joe Mad. Got to give some classics in there. John Byrne. Um, Also, and you know what? I'm going to put my Carlos Herrera, who does my Nightwolf series. I would put him up with all of them right now. He's an amazing artist from Chile. He like just even like the stuff that he's done for like those card games like Magic. He didn't do Magic Gathering, but he did like some other kind of like a mythic supernatural like card series, and like I was following him like on Deviant Art for years before like I even said, "Hey, you want to work with me?" So yeah, I'd
That's
definitely put him in there.
awesome. So, when you feel like, okay, every artist that you've watched and you've what are the what is the material that you take from them
From the
to add
artist,
on? Yeah, from the artists. What kind of stuff that you take from them?
I definitely the elements of what I like to see. Like I think from the coloring style to like the line art. I think it's putting into it what I liked, and that's I think kind of how I found Carlos. Was like there was a lot of elements of the greats that I liked in his art, and was like that's what I want to see this book to look like. This is the style exactly, and he hit especially with werewolves like hits each character like every time. Like I rarely have to say no, you need to change this, you need to change that. I mean it's spot on.
Okay. Wow. So, and when you was younger, right?
Mhm.
When you was younger, what comic books were you reading back then?
So mostly it was Wolverine, X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man, and then a lot of the spin-off X titles like X-Force, X-Factor, and it's funny because like Batman was like the only DC comic that I read regularly. All the rest were like Marvel.
Hmm.
And Wildcats was another big one that I loved. When Jim Lee left Marvel and went with Image. Spawn was another big one for me. Witchblade, Michael Turner is another. Actually, he should have also like he would have been in the running for my Mount Rushmore. Um, yeah, I mean those are a lot of the big ones. Darkness was another Mark Silvestri. Um, so there's so many good books out there back in the like early '90s that like I just digested.
Right. Mark Silvestri. I'm gonna get him on the show one day. You watch. I'm gonna get him on the show one day. You watch. I've been dreaming. I've been begging to get him on the show. I'm gonna get him
That
on
would
the
be
show. You
that'd be
watch.
sweet. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I had Eric Larson on the show, but yeah.
Nice.
Uh, man. Okay. So, where can people really dig deep into the story? Where can they find the story?
Right on. Yeah. So they can go to lonewolfcomics.com. That's where I have like kind of like my backstory stuff on there, as well as I have an online shop. They can get the back issues of Nightwolf 1 through 6. And you could also get Snowpaw issue 1. Snowpaw issue 2 is dropping this September on Kickstarter. You can go to lonewolfcomics.com/snowpaw, and that'll take you to the Kickstarter pre-launch page. And you could also find us on the social media at Lone Wolf Comics, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's awesome. So, so tell us about the Kickstarter that you got coming up. That you got.
Right on. Yeah. So, like I said, it's issue 2 for Snowpaws coming out. Mog Park is my artist. She's an amazing artist. She has worked with Game of Thrones, doing a lot of their illustration work for the DVDs, box sets, and stuff like that. So she has a lot of historical fantasy background. She does an amazing job, basically taking an existing world that I had established in Nightwolf and then making it her own. And what's great is that since it's 19th century Scotland, she gets to play with that historical fantasy piece as well with that, and she does an amazing job. And my colorist Bruna Costa, she is a Brazilian colorist, and the colors that she does off the just pop off the pages. It's amazing. But yeah, you can pick up the first issue as well as the second issue. I have many variant covers done by great artists, including the one you see right there by Carlos Herrera. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be mystery boxes. There's going to be original artwork, sketch covers, all kinds of great stuff. And then if you want to catch up on Nightwolf 2, there's going to be some Nightwolf swag in there as well. I also have a trade paperback for Nightwolf that collects the first 4 issues. You can pick up there as well. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be some t-shirts, hoodies, hats, all kinds of awesome looking swag.
Awesome. I've been thinking, man, why? Have there been any, indies comic book artists out there or writers out there that you've been keeping up with?
Yeah, so I've been keeping up a lot with Charlie Stickney with his White Ash and Glarian comics. Kevin Joseph, I've been reading a lot up on his Tart series, which is amazing. Also, another great series. If you're a fan of Bigfoot, the Savage Sasquatch by Wes Hartman. That's another amazing series. He just I think he had 6 issues out, and he put together a trade for that. I believe he has more coming out. Just I'm not sure when he's getting into that, because last I talked to him, I think he said that this story arc completed. He wanted to do some other stuff and then come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be watching for that. Also, I am a big fan of The Wailing Blade by Comics Tribe as the publisher, but it's Joe Mulvey and Rich Duick are the creative team for that. And yeah, I mean, there's so many. I could keep rattling them off. Travis Gibb, Voodoo Nations. He also does a bunch of anthologies, and he did a bunch of other books through his self-publishing. Last Ember Press, they always put out great books. If you ever got a chance to talk to Brant Fowler and his wife Lisa, Clay Adams, he does great. It's kind of like a combination between horror and comedy books. He does Dead Skins and Red Xmas, so through Fried Comics and Scout. I think he does through as well. I mean, like I said, there's so many out there that I mean, really, there's so many indies out there and so many great stories. Yeah, I mean, I'll read another one that I'm off the top of my head that Mog did a cover for is Crossover Divisions. That's another good series. Kurt Zauer, Spectrus and Sabanian, Mogg also did a cover for that as well. I mean, there's just so many good things out there. Tom Hutchison, he does. He's Big Dog Inc. He has a bunch of great. He does uh, the Wild West Oz, like it's Wizard of Oz, but in the Wild West. Um, I think it's Dorothy in the Wild West. I forget the title offhand, but that's the theme. He also does a Werebear comic book, which is different. So yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
Ursa Minor. That's definitely another good series by him. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just so many out there. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
you can't see it now, but I have like two long boxes that I just like. I kind of like cleaned up my room to make more room for like my storage. Like I had like stacks of comics that I was reading, like indie comics. I had to put in long boxes over here to make room
Mm-hmm.
for.
Damn.
Yeah.
I see now. I see, and that's the thing. I haven't came out with none of have any books lately. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, kind of in a writer's block. You know what I'm saying? So kind of like trying to take a little time to push it out. You know what I mean?
Right on.
But I got a lot of ideas, but sometimes it just takes a little time for me to put it down on
Yeah.
paper.
Oh, believe me, I get it. That's why I had 12 issues for Nightwolf scripted before I even started doing this. So I gave myself some time to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, like let me ask. I'm like, what, like, your writer's block, right? How do you know when it's about to come on? Your
When you,
writer's block.
yeah, I think what's like, mostly like when you get to a point in the story and you stop, you're like, okay, this is a good stopping point for now. I'll come back to it later. And then you're like, you go to sit down and nothing happens, and then you start procrastinating. I think that's when like that there's a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
that going
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like most of the time, me when I get a good idea in my head, I'm like, I got it, I got it, I got it. Then I'm like, I start to play my game, and then
on.
all
You
of a
lost.
sudden, damn, I lost it. Then I'm like, all right, I got it now. Damn, I lost it again. It'd be awesome.
There's
It'd be
time.
so crazy.
So ways that I've found to help myself avoid that situation, when I've come up with an idea, I will text it to myself real quick, like just like the general like specifics, not like the in depth, because I've been able to, like, when I write like short sentences or something small to kind of jog my memory. Once I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was, that kind of a situation. So I do that a lot. I'll text myself, or like I used to keep a notepad by my bed before I like had a phone that was easier to text with. But like if I had a dream and I wake up from it, like if it was like something story worthy, I would hurry up and write it down and then go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Mm-hmm.
when I take my kids to like their sporting events or extracurricular activities, while I'm sitting waiting for them, like I'll have a notepad and I'll just constantly flush out. I'll either like write out the sentences, like the reminder sentences, or I'll just start out, like if I have the full on idea while I'm there, I'm just scripting that thing out.
Right, right. See, when it comes to writing a story, it's more than just writing action scenes. It's writing the dialogue. It's putting out the feeling of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like the story to me is more important than the art. That's like that's like football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's 90% mental and 40% physical.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the
Oh yeah,
thing about it is,
the plays. If you don't, you don't have that those couple seconds of action that happen during the plays. If you don't know what plays they're calling, it's over.
exactly, you ain't gonna really like you gonna try to get him up the field while he's running up the field? No, you want to get him when he's
For example, if you're a lineman and you don't know which guy to block during that play, you're
hmm
too busy.
yeah, yeah, like you don't know if you're on a defense, if you're on defense and you don't know which hole
Mm-hmm.
to hit, you know what I'm saying? Because you
Right.
don't know which hole the runner is coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to know you have You know what I'm saying? You have three holes, to hit.
Yep.
You got to know which hole to hit,
Hmm.
and that's me. Be honest, like you got to know which hole to which viewpoints that you want to put in your story. The most important part you want to get because, like for example, um, what is your character main? The main thing of your characters.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make sure that people can relate to, the background or what they are, what they're doing. Make it interesting enough. You got to understand what they're saying. You know.
Exactly. You got to see. It's different when you when when you are when you've been taking writing classes for thousands of years, right? You know, and it comes great to you, but when it comes to some people that has just started writing, just started figured out writing about writing and everything, and really put down the artist part of it, because like I said, in the industry, it's 90% writing and
Mhm.
mental than it is art and action.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, you
Yeah,
have
because
to
if
have
you,
the
you don't have that, if you don't have that laid out in your head and then on paper, the artist isn't going to know what to do with it.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's even books out there, it's even comic books out there that don't even have color to it. You know what I'm saying? It's even books out there that don't even have pages, don't even have art to it. That just have the story to it. And people just reading the story. You know what I mean? And it's novels out there that just have the story down written down.
Hmm.
There's no pages to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But see, a lot of people, and this is what I notice: a lot of people don't read the books. A lot of people don't read the books. They just fly through it. They just fly through it, and they just look at the
Yeah.
pages, and just
They don't want to digest the information. They just want to see what's going on.
exactly. And see, and that's what I'm saying. Some people are like, I don't know what's going on in this thing because you didn't read the stories. Exactly. You didn't read the story. That's the main focus of why you do a comic book, because you're writing a story, and if you don't write the story right, the reader is not going to get what you're saying, and they're going to
Mhm.
be lost.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any books out there that's from the Marvel, DC, and from any comic book in general? Have you ever read any books that left you lost? That like the fuck?
Yeah. The ones that are very like overly text heavy, that try to be overly like, all right. So like, for example, Watchmen is very like critically acclaimed, and a lot of people really love it and think it's like one of the greatest out there. I thought it was okay, but I thought it was just too much. Like there was like like each like word box was like so thick, so like it was. I think he could have wrapped it up a little bit more quickly with the story intact. But I'm not going to give one of the masters. I'm not going to critique too much. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
but again, me being so, this also comes from me. Like I'm dyslexic, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the irony of me being a dyslexic writer is, believe me, it's not lost on me. But for me, like comic books help me learn to read. But when there's like novels on a page, then it kind of takes me out of it. Like you have to be. For me as a writer, I like to have the dialogue, but I also like to write out what's happening in the scene specifically to make it so that it's also visually a visual story as well as a story that's being told by letters.
Right. And see, and this is the thing. If you have, if you're writing the story and you have a script writer that's writing your story, you better make sure that they're writing it right, because they could write it the wrong way and then throw off your readers, and they could
Mm.
be blaming that shit on you. Like, oh, you got to answer for it. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't write that. I didn't write that script. You know, you know what I'm saying? So to be honest, when it comes to a lot of these things, I don't know. I think if people would sit back and sit down and figure out what they really want to do instead of just focusing on the the art part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because the art part of it is fun.
Right.
It's very fun, but what I'm saying, I get that, but you got to get through the hard part, and that is writing it.
Hmm.
hmm The
Yeah.
hardest part is writing it,
Yeah.
and like you got to use your thinking cap on that. And
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't really end there for the way like my process is like I don't once the script's done, it doesn't really end there because I'm very hands on with my artists, and I want to make sure that like it flows the way that like I'm visioning it. And like sometimes like they can come up with something better, but if I'm very adamant on like a specific like pacing or something like for example, if there's like a horror suspense scene in the book, it kind of has to hit differently than like a regular page. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that, and then boom. So you have to have a specific pacing when it comes to like page turns and stuff like that, and just the way like things happen, cliffhangers. And for me, like I'm working with my artists and making sure that like it's set properly. Like I said, if they can make it look a little bit better and still get the same pace, great. But like I said, I'm very like I work with them closely to make sure, and then like I will lay the letters because I'm also the letterer. So if something were to change, as far like if the art actually somehow shifted a little bit, I then have to like make a lateral move to make sure that the dialogue and the pacing still works with what may have been missed or changed. You know what I mean? So you're always constantly got to try and keep thinking how make it work, to make sure that the story is being told properly from point A to point Z.
yeah, yeah, that is true. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also, see, you got to remember, be patient. Because
Hmm.
that shit can wreck your fucking brain. And
Yeah.
it's times because I gave up my artist being an artist. Reason is because I wanted to focus more on my my writing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm more of a character designer, anyways. So I design all my characters. I design them all. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Sketch them out first. Such and such and such, and ink them. But then I send it to my artist, and he does all the fleshing it out and building it up thing the way
Mhm.
I ask him to and tell him to do, and it's like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to do storyboards. You, why do something? Try to write. Why try to drive the ship yourself? You know what I'm saying? When you have a whole team that can drive it with you, that can
That's just it.
ride
Yeah,
it with you.
focus on what you're good at and what you want to do, and then that's why you bring on somebody on who can do a great job and who gets all bought in. Like with Nightwolf, Carlos he loves the story, he loves doing the characters, he's all in on it. And with Mog, with Snowpaw, she's the same. She loves the story, she loves werewolf, she loves like the historical fantasy part of it. So
Right.
like having that partnership to work with somebody, it makes it all the better because then they can take what you are okay with or good at and do it so much more, so much better. You know what I mean?
hmm
And like one, you're saving time, and you're also getting a better product out of
Right. And, being a businessman as well, I was always taught, always have somebody smarter than you
it.
on your team because they could do something that you can't do. You know what I'm saying? And they could take your product to the next level.
Right? Yeah. If you have to
And
train them, then that's not the right person.
exactly, because sometimes it's just so hard to get them where
No.
you want them to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said I've been there where I had to teach, where I had to be hands on because some people will do what you ask them, and some would just do their own thing and fuck it up. And yeah, man, and That's to be honest, that's the wildest trip too. You know what I'm saying? And what you got it, what you want to do with that is you got to be very, very strategic and very specific on what you want. You know what I'm saying? And mm, it's just crazy. So, how many years have you and your team been going at it?
So Carlos and I for Nightwolf have been working together since 2013. It took us a while to kind of get up and going. A lot of it was like I had handed him my original designs, and then he made them so much better. And then like we started, working on the first issue, and I was trying to figure out, okay, well, trying to figure out the business of the things and how to get the money to finish it and to print it, and then I found Kickstarter. So then I kind of started down that road for a while, and in 2016 launched a Kickstarter that failed because I went for 3 issues for $20,000 without an audience, and it raised like $5,000, but because Kickstarter is an all or nothing platform, I didn't get any of it. Had I went for the first issue for just that $5,000, I would probably be way ahead of where I am now. So, fast forward a little bit to like 2017 in December was the first time I set up at a Comic-Con I took 100 copies of my first issue with me and almost sold out. And it was a small local con. So I was like, all right, well, I obviously have something here. So then my wife and I scraped up our savings, did the second issue. And again, I went around the Comic-Con, sold a bunch of those. And I was like, all right, well, issue three's due. I need some way to pay for the art and everything. So finally I was like, all right, let's go back to Kickstarter, give it another try. And that time I had successful. From there, progressed until I had 4 successful Kickstarters. Then I approached Mog Park last year about doing Snowpaw. So her and I have been working together for a little over a year now. And so, and here I am now.
Mm, mm, mm. Right. You see, you know, when you see, I've had my hiccups coming being a businessman. I've had my hiccups, man, because coming into the industry, man, when I was younger, dude, like, oh my God, I didn't know too many things, man. And I learned the hard way. I've really learned the hard way. It would have been a lot better if I would have, learned more different and had more patience with this stuff
Mm-hmm.
instead of just putting it out, what I'm saying, so fast. So, you know, man, I've had to go through artists after artists after artists, and I laugh at it, but it wasn't funny back then. When it comes to at the end of the story of book one, I had to go through another artist for the last couple pages for book one, and that's what messed up the flow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm like, damn, I should have fucking, you know, should have did that. Shouldn't have. I should have been more patient. Instead, I was just so itching. I was so itch like chomping at the bit to get it out and try to prove somebody wrong.
Yeah.
I ended up kind of messing myself up in the end. With that, with the coming out with it a little too early, a little too early. But all in all, though, I think I came out with it just in time. I guess you know what I'm saying
I think things happen for
because
a reason. You know,
yeah,
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 yeah. You live and you
yeah.
learn. That's the way it is. Like otherwise, if you don't go down one road, you go down another. Like you always think, oh, well, what if I would have done that? But really, it just comes down to things worked out the way they do for a reason, right? And you just have to learn from it.
Mm-hmm. And shit happens, man. I've learned a long time ago not to be so be patient with what you're doing. because if you bring something out too early, too late, and you miss the right time to do it, then you're not gonna get the results that you want, you know.
Right.
And that's why what I want to do with the Kickstarter, you know, what I mean, I want to wait until till the right time to come out with it because I don't want to come out with it too fast, and I don't want to come out with it too slow.
Right.
I just want to come out with it just right until I hit that mark. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, I want to produce book two and start producing book two and everything,
Yeah.
but finish the Collision of the Closets, my little 10-page book. It's an action book, so you know what I'm saying. It's a little action book,
Mhm.
but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. You trust me. You're going to want to read it. Trust me. It's going to be a drop off to for book two, just to get ready for book two and everything. And I want to hurry up and fund those two. You know what I'm saying? Finish book two. No,
Mhm.
finish Collision of the Colossus, and then because I only have like 7 more pages for Collision of the Colossus to be done.
All right. On.
You know, so 7 and 40. You know, what I mean, yeah. So you know, what I mean, so and the graphic novel that I want to do for book two is 40 pages. So you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's no joke right there.
Yeah, man. I want to put so much into book two, and I'm gonna give you a little teaser of book two for Jarhead. I know you didn't read book one, but I'll see what I can do for book one and hook you up and show you a little something, something. I hook you up a little something, something. Don't say nothing though. I'm just
What's that about? Yes.
all right. So you know, book one. If you read book one, you'll see that that Dimitri. There's a character named Dimitri in book one. He's driving off to get away from the scene of the crime, right?
Mhm.
And when he's driving off, he ends up at this skyscraper, and he goes into the elevator. He's worried. He's like, damn, like you know, shaking, like the fuck, you know, what the fuck going on, man? This nigga didn't die, you know. So he gets into the elevator, man, and he's going up, all blood on his face, you know. And he tells his boss. He walks into his boss's office. He's like, "Boss, I got to tell you something." And he's like, "Boss, you know, such and such and such. Jarhead's not dead and everything." And he's like, "You see, the boss is sitting down, like half his face is in the light and half his face in the dark. That's old villain form. That's old villain art,
Yep.
right?"
Yep.
So he leans forward and he gets up and he goes over to Dimitri. And this is Demented Deuce, okay? My character Demented Deuce, the reptilian looking guy with the half fat, half mask and everything.
Mhm.
And he shoots him, and he shoots Demetri. Boom! Never send a boy to do a man's job. And then he boom, and then he shoots him in his head, and his whole back of his head splash out on the page.
Nice.
Now that's a cliffhanger.
That's yep. Yep.
That's a cliffhanger because that's going to leave people wondering what's going to happen in the story. Like, what the hell is going on? You know, what happened to Jarhead? But see, what they don't know is Jarhead can regenerate his health.
Mhm.
So he's a self healer. You know what I'm saying? He has that gift to do that.
Right.
But what people don't know is that, see, if people was to really get to know Jarhead and really not focus on the action, there's no action. Focus on the story, where I'm going with it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a buildup.
Focus on what I'm. Yeah, exactly. Focus on what I'm saying to you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice what see, and you'll notice what Jarhead is saying. What I'm saying about Jarhead and what I'm doing with little titsy bits of. You know what I'm saying? You'll see Michael talking to God in the air and everything because Michael the Archangel is in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. You got to read it. Once you read it, you're gonna wonder. You're gonna be like, I want book two. I'm telling you, this is as exactly the way I'm telling you it is.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah,
So
you always have to see. That's just like you always have to have that interesting first issue. You know what I mean? Like you got to get their attention, leave that cliffhanger, and then be like, "Bam! Now you want more? Come on."
yeah, exactly. It leaves off with Dimitri leaving off in the van. Isn't that a cliffhanger? You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't get him. He didn't catch him. So okay, let's go. Hey, let's go get he got killed off. So now we got to generate another character. You know what I'm saying? So okay, I mean that's a situation that I wanted to do, and just scriptwriter did an amazing job with leaving that cliffhanger there, so that way we can get it to pop to the people.
Mhm.
Oh, it's I'm telling you, if you he's more like Wolverine than people give him credit for. I'm telling you, book two will show it. He's mild and mannered in book one because we don't know his true nature. But once he knows his true calling and his true nature, trust
Mhm.
me, you're gonna see a lot of shit go down.
Nice,
Trust me. That's why I'm like, I'm excited. I'm excited for my own goddamn self. You know what I mean? But
right? And that's that's why we do this, right? Because we as fans for ourselves can enjoy our own stuff. We know that other people can enjoy it too.
exactly, and that's what I love. You know what I'm saying? And for people not to read it when we give it to them, that's just like it's just like, damn, you asked for it, now you don't want it.
Right.
Fuck it, forget you then. But nah, though, bro. Like, you got anything else to tell to the people?
Um, I mean, we covered a lot. Like I said, Nightwolf issue 6 had just come out, so that's brand new in the store. Issue 7 is in the works. Carlos is working on that now. Mog's wrapping up issue 2 of Snowpaw, and we'll be next week. Actually, this coming week, we'll be leaving for Boston, going to Fan Expo. So if you guys are out in the Boston area, come out and see me. Um, yeah, none of that. I'll see you in September with Snowpaw issue 2 on Kickstarter.
Awesome, awesome. See everybody. You feel good doing this damn thing, and you love it, and you love it more, and you love it more. Oh man, I feel so good. All right, so there's a segment in the show where I give you 60 seconds to just promote your product, whatever you got, and you got 60 seconds to give the people advice to the youngins or to the people that's coming in from other parts of entertainment, to the comic book world. Let the Whatever you want to tell them, give them a bit of advice, whatever.
Well, since we talked about my books pretty much the entire show, I'll give more. I'll do the 60 seconds of advice. How about that? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, all right. For anybody getting into the industry, I would definitely say first things first, make sure you enjoy your story, make sure you enjoy your art, get a great team to work together. If you want to do it all yourself, that's great. But, helping, we all working together, rising tides raise all boats, right? The other thing is get an editor. Always get an editor because they will help you find the mistakes that you think that you caught, but you didn't. They also make you look good. And also, hire a great letterer. Letters make a book. I am a graphic and web designer, so I do lettering myself. However, you may not be that skilled or have Illustrator or Photoshop skills or in design. So find somebody to letter your books. And always join the community, talk about comics. Don't just talk about your stuff. Get involved in the community, talk about others, ask questions, find out pricing, find out how to print, how to do all the back end stuff that you don't see up front. Find out all you can. Ask the people who've been there.
Awesome. See, that's what I'm saying. So, I love you guys. Thank y'all guys for watching. Comment, subscribe. Like, notification bell, and come and enjoy the show again and again and again, baby. It's been a banger, of course, like I always do. I want to show y'all my love. Thank y'all. We out. Peace.
Thank you for having me.
Always, brother. You know it, man. Hold up. I'm out. We out. I'm trying to get out of here. All right, hold on. Woo!